Number 21. 1780, 1830. Densely settled, moderately settled, sparsely settled. Which of the following best explains the differences in population distribution between 1780 and 1830 shown on the map? By 1830, Americans had settled all the nation up to the Pacific Ocean. B. The Proclamation Line of 1763 had a permanent effect on American development. C. With America's increasing population, settlers and immigrants continued settling further westward. D. By 1830, American Indian attacks had prevented any settlement beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Number 22. How did the plantation system influence the economic development of the United States? F. It prevented the development of the industry in the Northeast. G. It turned the South into a major producer of cotton used in northern mills. H. It restricted agricultural expansion in the Western territories. J. It increased federal government need to raise tariffs. 23. Factors that contributed to early industrialization. An abundance of laborers, the availability of capital, ? Which factor best completes this diagram? A. New transportation systems. B. Increased government regulation. C. A decline in agricultural production. D. Limited availability of technology. #24. The formation of political parties in the United States can be traced back to a disagreement over whether F. The president has the power to create a cabinet with the heads of the executive departments. G. The Declaration of Independence should be signed and issued by all 13 colonies. H. Congress should create a national bank and raise tariffs. J. The United States should purchase the Louisiana Territory from France. 25. Which diagram correctly compares two regions of the United States during the mid-19th century? The South on one side, Northeast over here. Large manufacturing centers. We have the Northeast, Southwest, cattle ranching, grain farming. The West, Southeast, mining, plantations. West, Northeast, use of slave labor. 26. Invention of the cotton gin. Opening of lands along the Mississippi. Growing demand for inexpensive labor. Which change occurred as a direct result of these developments? F. A reduction in the number of skilled workers in northern states. G. The expansion of manufacturing into the western territories. H. A reduction in trade with European countries. J. The expansion of slavery into newly acquired territories. 27. The Whiskey Rebellion, the Bank of the United States, the Alien and Sedition Act, Marbury versus Madison. This list provides examples of A. Topics discussed during early industrialization of America. B. Domestic issues faced by leaders of the new republic. C. Weakness of the government under the Articles of Confederation. D. Issues leading to the reform movements in the mid-19th century. #28. It is emphatically the province and duty of the judicial department to say what the law is. Those who apply the rule to particular cases must, of necessity, expound and interpret that rule. If two laws conflict with each other, the courts must decide on the operation of each. So, if a law be in opposition to the Constitution, if both the law and the Constitution apply to the particular case, the court must determine which of these conflicting rules governs the case. This is the very essence of judicial duty. If, then, the courts are to regard the Constitution, and the Constitution is superior to any ordinary act of legislature, the Constitution must govern the case. John Marshall, Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, 1804. In this decision, Chief Justice John Marshall, F. defined interstate commerce. G. abolished the slave trade. H. placed limits on free speech. J. established the court's power of judicial review. 29. Regional economic activity in the United States in the early 1800s. The Northeast produced manufactured goods. The Midwest supplied food resources. The South provided raw materials. What was one result of these regional differences? A. Cities in the South became centers for textile mills. B. Immigrants settled in the Midwest to establish small farms. C. Slavery increased in the Northeast as industrialization expanded. D. Plantation systems in the South were replaced by factory systems. Number 30. 1845. Texas is annexed by the United States. Mexican and U.S. troops gather near the Texas-Mexico border. 1846. The United States declares war on Mexico. 1847. Mexico accepts a temporary peace settlement. 1848. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is signed. Which of the following occurred as a result of these events? F. The President of Mexico refused to withdraw troops from Texas. G. Parts of southern Texas were returned to Mexico. H. The United States acquired several territories from Mexico. J. Mexico was forced to sell Florida to the United States. 31. How was the North affected by slavery in decades before the Civil War? A. Northern railroad owners used slave labor to lay railroad tracks in the North. B. Northern workers faced competition for jobs from a large number of fugitive slaves. C. Northern factory owners brought Southern cotton for their textile mills. D. Northern city dwellers bought manufactured goods from Southern factories. 32. Speaker 1. A state has the right to overrule an act passed by Congress. After all, the national government is supposed to share power with the states. Speaker 2. I believe that you are wrong. The states do share power with the national government, but the Constitution says the national government has supremacy. These speakers are debating the issue that eventually became known as Monroe Doctrine, Nullification Crisis, Missouri Compromise, 3/5 Compromise. 33. McCulloch versus Maryland of 1819. The Supreme Court ruled that Congress had implied powers under the necessary and proper clause of Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution to create a second bank in the United States. The court also ruled that the state of Maryland lacked the power to tax the bank. Which principle of the U.S. Constitution is at issue? A. Individual rights. B. Checks and balances. C. Popular sovereignty. D. Federalism. 34. Question mark. rapid population growth, economic depressions, the prospect of inexpensive land, foreign trade opportunities. During the 1840s, the factors in this diagram contributed to widespread support for which of the following? Kansas-Nebraska Act, Manifest Destiny, the American System, or states' rights. 35. Look at these two pictures. In the early part of the 19th century, a group of New York City-based artists emerged known as the Hudson River School. These artists are famous for their paintings of, so look at the paintings, a scene from urban life. B, pioneers and Native Americans. C, romantic landscapes and wilderness scenes. D, species of birds and their natural habitats. And done.